Just a moment.
Hi, Doug. How are you? I'm never this early.
There, that's likely better now, is it?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah. Any snow in your part of the world?
Not yet. We had some last week.
We don't have not one flake yet. The lawns are green and everything else.
Nice. We might be getting it at the end of this week, but I think it might be rain
Oh yeah, we're getting a lot of rain.
because
No.
of it's not cold enough.
Yeah. Oh well.
I don't mind it.
Yeah. After the 21st, it'll be working its way towards spring.
Yeah.
So I can stand that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know, Doug.
Good.
Cold enough for you up there?
What's that?
Cold enough for you up there?
It's cold enough, but it's not snowing.
That's,
We haven't had any snow yet.
is that right? Wow.
Not one flake. But it has been cold a couple of days.
Yep.
Yeah, and windy big time, like 90 kilometers an hour sometimes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Now we had some snow, and then another snow came, hit our northwest part of the state, but they left us with rain. It melted it all. I found out the town plow had done a job in my front lawn.
Ooh. Yeah, you can have that.
Yep. Even in mine.
Mr. Mano.
Hello, all. I can see all the non-Patriots fans on the line.
Yeah, you know.
Down to the last minute, we just got a touchdown.
Oh, they did? Ah,
Yeah.
Mike, look at this.
Uh-oh.
I'm dating an Eagles fan.
Uh-oh. Well, they're pretty good. They're doing it.
My ancestors are rolling around in their graves.
I just ordered a couple of Eagles caps for my son-in-law and grandson. They're Eagles fans. You had to join, so that somehow everything got messed up, and I got a text saying wouldn't accept it. I thought that they declined me because I put my password as Giants fan.
Well, Amanda, this is, I think, the Eagles' year. I really do.
You think so too?
Although you'll find some people that might think Buffalo's. It's their year. I'm drinking out of my new, very expensive NBC cup. I never had a $25 cup before.
Yeah. They keep things warm though, those kind. Or cold.
Yeah.
How does it know?
See, we got 7 o'clock. We don't have, has anyone heard from Glenn? I emailed him and texted him and haven't heard back, and he's not on the line. So I'm wondering if he's out of town or something.
I get messages from him all the time. And up until I think yesterday, I got something, so I know he's around.
Oh, okay. Okey doke. Well, we'll give it another minute or so. I know Mike Savard is supposed to join us. I haven't heard from anybody that they're not coming. Because I went to print John's reports and that's when I run out of ink. Yeah. It's okay, John. I don't have any red ink in my computer anyway.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
Well, let's see. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 is a quorum, so I'm going to go ahead and start without Scott. I'm without Scott. I'm looking at Scott. Hi, Scott.
Hi.
Without Glenn, and get started. Does anybody else have any changes to the agenda? Okay, I've got a couple things that we're gonna. I'll just bring them up under new business. I don't think we have to be that formal tonight. I'll look for approval of the last minutes. I believe that Glenn sent them out right after the last meeting. Does anybody have anything to say about the minutes? Good, we're gonna zip right along. All right. Hearing nothing, we'll go for approval of the minutes, and we don't have to vote on them. And we'll accept those. And we'll just mention that, as I understand it, Mike Savard, the next meeting is going to be the live meeting on January 7th, correct?
Correct.
Okay, we'll get to that later, but I have it here on the agenda, just so we're all have it in front of us. And then the treasurer's report, Mr. John.
Okay, so I sent it out a little while ago. I don't know if you've had a chance to print it out, but basically it focuses on the fall convention, excuse me, and the year as a whole. As things stand right now, I don't anticipate a lot of activity between now and the end of the year, but I've been surprised before. So anyway, as far as the fall convention goes, the preliminary results as of this point are that the loss was, let me find the right page here, was $8,318. And that includes some activity from last year. So if I take it out, and if you look at the convention comparison report, you'll see that it shows $10,000 loss for St. John's alone. So there was some income that came in from last year that came in January that affects that number. And there's also some reduction in expenses because I basically voided a check that was from 2017 that had never been cashed. So I anticipate that that's close to, if not the final result for the St. John Convention. A couple of notes on that. Basically, the banquet cost us about $3,000 when we had planned for it to be a flow through, zero cost. And the rooms cost us about $2,500 more than we anticipated because we ended up getting charged a higher rate for some of the rooms than we thought. And then the rest of it, about $6,000, is due to basically lack of shortage of registrations from what we intended or what we expected. So any questions on the fall convention? Anything that you have specific concerns about? I mean, obviously the end result was not what we had hoped.
Financially.
Right, correct. Yes, this is strictly a financial report. Although I will say, you know, to the extent that we get into next meeting, get into some of the planning and budgeting, I love having events that are very successful, but we can't continue to have the ones that lose money at this rate as well. So as far as the year goes, P&L for the year is going to come in pretty much right around where we budgeted at the beginning of the year. We anticipated we'd have a loss, and we justified that by the fact that due to lack of activity in the last couple of years, we'd had some surpluses and wanted to use them to try and get things re-energized and going back again on our events. So we anticipated we'd lose money this year, and in fact, we accomplished it. There are some things that offset some of the losses that we had in our conventions. We had some donations that we didn't expect. We got quite a few grants that covered some of our additional expenses for the shows and things. And we got a big boost from the Harmony Foundation when they changed their format for reimbursing districts. As I was saying that, it occurred to me there is one thing on the fall convention that I meant to mention and did not, and that is that the results that I presented here assume we're going to get the additional $3,000 donation from Harmony Foundation for quorum's expenses. That is accrued in here at this point. We haven't actually received.
I'll follow up with them, John. They said they were going to send it the week after Thanksgiving. So
Okay. Okay, and then the balance sheet, just go over that quickly. Obviously, that falls out of the financials to a large degree. We are, as far as the district reserve goes, we are back up to about $85,000 when we had dropped down very close to the $75,000 that we is the lowest we can go without HOD approval. I still have the approximate equivalent of $8,800 in an account in St. John in Canadian funds that I'm just holding off a little bit longer to make sure there aren't any last minute expenses that need to be taken care of from that. And then we will make arrangements to have the money transferred back to our regular accounts.
John, does that make any difference if a calendar year, does that have any impact at all? In other words, should you do it before December 31st or doesn't make any difference?
No, the only thing that will really matter is that when we do that transfer, there's probably going to be some currency gain or loss from what I have in the books right now that will have to be accounted for, but it shouldn't be substantial. So I guess the answer is there's no real need to do it before the end of the year.
Dan's got a question.
Yes.
John, am I seeing it correctly that if it says guest performer things, that's all quorum?
For the district convention, yes.
And HFI only reimburses us for the guest performer fees, but not travel, meals, lodging?
No, the general rule is that they reimburse $7,000, $3,500 of which is for the fee, and the remainder is for expenses. Anything we incur above the $3,500 of expenses become our expenses. In this case, because of the last minute change from signature to quorum, and the fact that we knew their airfares and everything were going to be so much higher, HFI agreed to reimburse an additional $3,000 of expenses. And in the end, I think the net expense to the district for quorum ended up being about $150.
Because it says guest performer travel 7,000 plus their performance fees of 10,500.
Correct. And HSI reimbursed us 10,000.
Oh,
So-
I thought you said 7,000.
Well, it's 7 and then an additional 3.
Awesome.
Any other questions?
I just see that, I think we knew that one of the biggest problems we had as far as dollars was in the sound and the lighting in the hall. If you take a look at that, it was $11,000, and we usually spend about 3. And I think between that and the lack of registration is, the two things that stand out as being, that hurt us quite a bit.
Yeah, we need to be a little bit, I mean, I think you're right in general, Bob, but I'd be a little bit careful because sound and lighting vary greatly from convention to convention, and sometimes, as in this case, it was offset by having a lower facility rental fee than we might have in other places. So you really need to look at all of the venue-related stuff, which then affects the sound and lighting and how we have to do it. If you look at that as a total, rather than as individual pieces, it gives you a better picture. But I agree with you, in this case, the total of those things did go much higher. And we had a fairly high sound and lighting cost just in St. John, and then we had Glenn's fees layered in on top of
On
that.
top of that, yeah.
Can I ask a question for John? Can you
No.
repeat, please? And thank you.
Yeah, all right.
Can you repeat what you mentioned to Dan? Is it AIC that gives us 7,000, 3,500 and 3,500? And was there anything else that you got?
They've promised us an additional 3,000. They just haven't sent it yet.
Who did, AIC?
No,
HFI.
this all goes through Harmony Foundation. So it's in conjunction with the AIC, but the money flows through Harmony Foundation.
Okay, so AIC basically gives us 7,000 and HFI tacked on.
The entire HFI / AIC contribution was $10,000.
Okay,
It's in two
Okay.
pieces because the standard is 7.
right.
And we went back and negotiated, Mike did, negotiated another 3,000 because of the additional expenses.
Uh-huh. Okay, thank you.
Anything else for John? Anything on your other reports, John?
Well, let's see, I just, so that you know, I did provide the fall convention comparisons from year to year. I think if you take a look at the pattern of activity over the years, you can see it was declining even before COVID, took a pretty big hit during COVID, and it's come back up, but not nearly to the level that it had been in its glory years. I don't necessarily anticipate we'll get back to that level, but I certainly am hopeful we'll be able to get closer than we are now. So I guess that's all I have. Certainly, if you come up with any additional questions, feel free to contact me and I'll be glad to try and answer them.
Ed has his hand up, I think.
Yeah. I know HFI gives the district money twice a year or so, right?
Correct.
Have you been also getting money from BHS from their program?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to know.
In fact, if you look at the financial statement, it's actually broken out. I had requests from folks to do so.
I
So you
see.
can see there's members donations, outside donations, Harmony Foundation and Barbershop Harmony. So we've received 15,000 and change from HFI and $963 from DHS.
I see that. Okay, thanks, John.
Okay, anybody else? We're good? Thank you, John.
You're welcome.
Okay, let's move on to Katie. Anything we should know about what's coming up in a short period of time?
Yeah, less than 2 months. No, Leadership Academy is looking good. We're just waiting for a couple of final schedule confirmations, and then I'm looking to put together a president, secretary, and treasurer's position panel kind of round table. So if anybody has any names of anyone they'd want to submit to sit on that panel, please let me know. But overall, things are going well. BHS did their beta testing for the online modules for the president, treasurer, and secretary starting 2 weeks ago. And so we got feedback and we're in round 2 of that, and we should be good to launch with NED in January. So it's looking good.
Excellent. Any questions for Katie? All right. Let's, Mike, I said I would leave this reimbursement thing on the agenda. I don't know if you have anything to say about it yet, but we can skip over it quickly.
Yeah, we can skip over it.
All right. All right, moving to new business. Spring contest is kind of a general comment, but we have some things to discuss about it. First off, Bob, are we all set with both? No changes on the contracts or anything?
We're set for Queensberry, and we're set for the Cape. At the Cape, we signed the contracts before the building was sold to try to hold the rates we had the year before. And we were able to do that.
No changes with the new owners?
No, because the contracts were all signed before
Okay.
they took over. Yeah. We just made it by a few weeks.
Okay.
But were we using the same hotels in Queensbury as last year?
We're using I've been in touch with the Hilton across the way, which is what we used as the main last year. And also there's a Marriott that's close down the road. And I think that the one hotel we had, I sort of got bad reviews for that. The one that was closer down the street where the Parkside stayed. So I'm not going to go with them. So we have 3 hotels for Queensbury.
So you got Hilton and Marriott, and what's the third one?
The one that belongs to the Hilton. Diane, help me out here. What's the name? Choice? Not Choice Hotels.
No,
Stay something, stay, what the heck is it? What's,
home something, is it not home two?
Home Suites 2.
Home Two
Suites.
Suites.
yeah, okay, yeah, Home 2 Suites, okay.
Baymont was the one that Parkside stayed at.
Yes, yeah. That was the Baymont was the problem one. The Hilton owns 2 hotels there, and they one has got a lower rate.
Okay. One of the major questions we have is what's going to happen in the springtime with our COVID protocol. And there's going to be, I'm sure, lots of various opinions as the world continues to adapt to the pandemic not ending the way we had all hoped it would. There are 2 schools of thought. I've heard from some people that say, well, look, you jam in 20,000 people into a Celtics game and they're all screaming at the top of their lungs, and that's the way life is now. And then there's the other school that says, well, that's okay for the Celtics, but it's not okay for us. So I'd like to hear some opinions of where we are, and also say that we can change at any time if we come up with something. And as we've said right from the beginning of all of this, if we learn new facts or things have changed, or there's a different protocol from the government or the town that we're in or the facility that we're in, we have to react to all of those things. As far as we know, Bob, there's no restrictions from the town in Hyannis at this point or anything like that that we're aware of. I don't know of any Massachusetts.
No, there's no restrictions right now. What we've done, I guess, with when we had the successful contest in Worcester was that maybe we should be prepared to have everyone wear a mask except while singing. If that's our fallback at this point. That seemed to be very successful in Worcester. We didn't have a lot of problems with people adhering to that. And, we came in the midst of, at the COVID at that time. And that was relatively successful. I think we came through that basically unscarred. And, maybe we should keep that in the back of our minds, that we do masking unless you're actually on stage singing.
So your suggestion is to say masks for everyone?
It depends on where we are in April, but I mean, I think that would, that seems to have worked for us at the Worcester district. I don't know where we're going to be in April.
Yeah, except it was a very low attendance. And, I don't know how many people that might have kept away, but I don't know of anyone, of any organization right now that's any arts organization in Massachusetts or Rhode Island that's asking for masks.
No, there's not in New York either.
I think we got to be careful of making comparisons between what we do and Celtics games or other arts organizations, right? We're going to have people standing face to face singing. So I think the idea of doing nothing is not really makes sense to me for what we do. Every barbershop event, every significant barbershop event in the last year has been a pretty significant spreader of COVID. I understand the complexities around vaccines and just showing that you got the 2 original doses doesn't really do anything anymore. I could see where we would get away from the vaccine requirement and maybe we change to something like you have to show a negative COVID test within 24 hours when you arrive. John, I don't know what that means for you and your team. But I think it's incumbent on us to do something to try and maintain the safety of all of our members.
I just suggest that it's so far out and COVID throughout has been pretty fluid situation. And most organizations have been able to adapt in short order. So I would almost defer it until probably 60 to 90 days before the event takes place to consider a final policy on something like that.
Dick, the only issue with that is that we put registration up, quite a bit before that. And so there needs to be something. And so I guess what you're suggesting is the default is to keep things as they are and change if we need to.
Yeah, we can implement a masking vaccination request policy, in short order. And then if for any reason people back off specifically because of that, maybe we'll offer them a refund or something.
What's the current policy?
Current policy requires vaccination. There's proof of was just the first 2, right, Mike? We don't require boosters.
Correct. Up to this point, we haven't required boosters.
Yeah, and then depending upon current situations, we may or may not ask for masks at the site. But basically, the primary requirement is vaccination.
I've been finding here with the art center that I have, with the Performing Arts Center, I get a mixture of people coming in. Some of them are masked, the majority of them aren't. And it's been a mix. We had an event this afternoon, and I would say probably about, I would guess a quarter of the audience actually wore masks and the rest didn't. But we have a policy of, it's basically up to the individuals coming in we have masks at the table if they want them, but like I said, it's down to about a quarter of our attendees now.
But again, they're not standing in a circle singing with each other. So it's not an apples to apples comparison.
Well, that, I mean, it's true. It's more of a passive audience.
Someone else have an opinion? Ed?
I'm just wondering, we don't really know how our policies affect whether or not people come to our conventions. Are they still afraid to come to our conventions if we up the restrictions a little bit, or the policy? Would we gain more people coming or not? I don't know. I know down here we did fall convention. We required a negative COVID test within 48 hours, and you were to provide that yourself when you showed up for registration. Show them the negative test. So we took pictures and had them on our phones and everything. And if you didn't have that, they had tests there available, so you could do the test right there. So I don't know if you had that additional level of security, we'd gain a lot of attendance or not. I think the way our attendance has been going at contests, as John has said, and we're not getting as many people who are non-competitors as we used to. And I think these conventions are becoming competitors only kind of event. Competitors and very, very close family. We don't sell a lot of people. We don't sell registrations to people who just come because they're barbershoppers and want to come to a convention anymore. I could be wrong about that, but that's the way things seem to be going. So that's my thought. I'm not sure making the restrictions stricter would increase our attendance. And I think that's what we really want, or people are just still afraid to come to our conventions.
Or the other way around. If we look at barber shoppers and we talk about what's been happening, I wasn't at the last district president's council meeting, but the one before that, only a couple of the districts had any restrictions at all for their fall contest, and the society in general has none now. Midwinter will have no restrictions. And we originally were saying we were taking our leave from what the society was asking to do and so forth. So I don't know if that influences anybody. I don't know if having strict policies keeps some people away from the attendance. And I don't know about the pleasure of such. Dan, go ahead.
I was just going to say that in terms of political effects, it seems like people are more up in arms about vaccinations than taking a test. And NEHB did the testing thing every day, and the brigade had no super spreader event that we heard of. So I don't think having one test to 48 hours before would be harmful, and it might provide that security and not the level of conflict that we've seen with vaccination that might have kept some people away in the past.
I think to Ed's point, it would make sense at this point to do a survey of the district membership and get a read for where are they on this. Do they feel that the vaccine restriction requirement is too strict, not strict enough? If we required a test, would they come or not? If we didn't require anything, would they come? So I think we could fashion a survey that would give us a lot of actual data to look at in terms of how is it going to affect attendance at the convention. And I'm happy to put that together for everybody to look at.
Anyone else? Anyone want to comment on Mike's suggestion?
I would think that would work. I mean, we need much information as we can get. I mean, I think it would be great to know what the members feel.
Right.
When
I would-
when would we open registration? Would that be at the beginning of March? When would we open?
I'm gonna,
We
I'm gonna open
usually,
for the
we usually
contest
shoot
early
for
February.
beginning of February and end up opening it at about 2 weeks before the no. Yeah, our aim is always to get it open earlier than we do. And I would say historically, we've probably gotten the spring conventions going about mid-February to the end of February.
We'll be opening the contest entry for the first one, February 1.
Okay. All right. I think that survey would be a good idea. We don't have a lot of time to make a decision.
Well, we don't actually have to have it done before registration opens. We just got to have it done or have something in place so people can make a decision before it closes.
Well, we have to have it done before registration if we're gonna have restrictions. I'm not gonna buy something when I don't know what seat I'm sitting in, or I'm not gonna buy something when I don't know what, you know, what the parameters are. So I think if we do this, it would have to be in a relatively timely fashion. Yeah, or we could find ourselves saying, okay, well, everybody's got to take a test, and somebody could say, I bought a registration, but you didn't tell me I had to have a test when I bought my registration.
I don't think there's any reason why we can't get it done before we open registration.
Okay, Mike, you want to do that by yourself? You want someone to work with you?
I'll probably reach out to Carol Lee.
Why don't we have somebody that's not quite on the same position as you, as Carol Lee, or none of us will ever be able to go anywhere again. But
I'm planning on putting restrictions around anyone who lives on the east side of Providence. I think that's a really high COVID spreading area, so we don't want those people.
do you want to send a draft to the board and let the board approve it?
Yeah.
You want to do it that way? Okay.
Yeah, and if, you know, in worst case, we'll review it in person and on the 7th, but.
Okey doke, let's get off of that. And anything else on COVID and all the restrictions? No. At one point in time, before Worcester, we had a brief discussion about contest format. And then we said, well, we'll see what happens after St. John by having the banquet and having things timed differently. Does anybody want to bring anything up about changing our normal format for the spring contest?
I think we should keep the spring contest the way we've been doing it. I think while it was a good idea to be in St. John, do the banquet, it caused a whole bunch of other issues that we resolved. They didn't become problems. But it did squeeze everybody's time down. And I wasn't particularly thrilled by having choruses starting their cycle for the contest on Saturday morning at 8 o'clock. So.
Okay, we all good with that? Leaving spring the way it's traditionally been?
Both spring contests will be international prelims.
Yes.
Thanks.
Okay, anything else on the contests? I did say I had another agenda item I want to throw in. Mike Savard did a little digging and some investigative reporting and found out that we are not registered as a nonprofit organization.
Well, hold on. Let me tell you the whole story. So I'm trying to get us nonprofit status with Microsoft, and they contract out to this third-party person to investigate your nonprofit status. And they rejected us, saying that our nonprofit status had been canceled by the state of Massachusetts. Now, I don't know if that was intentionally done at some point in the past because we transferred it to the BHS, or I have no clue how all that happened, but in looking into that, I went to the Massachusetts Department of State page to hopefully get a certificate of good standing, and found out that we are in fact not in good standing with the state of Massachusetts, as we haven't turned in an annual report for the last 2 years. So I don't think those two things are related. But if anybody has any history on how we've gotten our 501c3 status for the district over the years, please let me know. I don't know.
Right. This came up earlier in the year. Dick had the same issue that you did when trying to make a donation from Meredith Bay. And it's an issue with the IRS right now, and I am trying to get a handle on what the problem is and what we need to do to resolve it. I haven't had a whole lot of success. I'm going to have some time between Christmas and New Year's where I basically am not going to be working, and I'm going to devote that time to getting to the bottom of this.
This is the
figuring out ways-
501c3 part of it, John?
Yes. Yeah, and I believe it has to do with the 941 reporting, but I don't understand why. So I am investigating it, and I hope to have an answer by the end of the year.
Okay, I'll work with, I have communicated with Glenn today. He's on a plane back from Israel. Apparently he got delayed. But I will work with him on the state of Massachusetts filings to get us back into good standing there. So
Yeah, I have been going over this with John regarding the federal status. I'm a little confused as to the district's residency in terms of it had been in New Hampshire for a long time, and I've been told recently by John and others that it's here in Massachusetts. I think it's with Mike Klein's address.
It's been Massachusetts all along, Dick, as far as the district residency. That's why we file with the Mass Secretary of State or in there. So that's always been the case as long as I've known, and I believe from the beginning of the district.
yeah, we're incorporated in Massachusetts. I mean, our
Correct.
mailing address can be New Hampshire, but
Okay, is that maybe where I'm getting mixed up? Because Owls Road, is that yours, John?
Yeah, that's the mailing address related to the 94. I get all my
990,
990. Yeah. So that, yes, that's the address. It's attached to the 990.
Okay, well, that's where it's confused. So the corporation is here in the Commonwealth
Correct.
and has been forever. So we should be submitting documentation based on the corporate address. And that is where?
I believe it's Mike's address in Hudson
Mike's.
at this point. We've never changed that.
Okay. I'll do some investigating on my end to see what we can do to vet the situation so that maybe we can get clearance on this.
Regarding the federal 501c3, I believe that we are under the umbrella of BHS's 501c3 designation from the IRS, as long as we are listed as a chapter of as a district, an affiliate of BHS. So you might want to have a conversation with Eric Dove.
Okay.
yeah, somehow I got to figure out how there's some record out there that says that it sounded like we had our own 501c3 status, which, we could have done. And then it was canceled according to this report that I got back from
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
So I would guess it was probably canceled by lack of attention on our part, Mike.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
I am not aware that I haven't met the obligations of filing for that, but so that's why I want to understand what the confusion is.
Yeah, I mean, as long as BHS puts us on the list, which last time I checked, we were still on the list, then we should be covered by the BHS nonprofit status.
Right.
This whole good standing with the state of Massachusetts or Commonwealth of Mass is a different issue. So, yeah.
Well, I think it's
Keep
pretty
me
clear.
posted, John.
We need to understand better, all of us, what the requirements are, and then figure out what it's going to take to get it back to where it should be.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure we're gonna get there tonight, so I
Yeah.
would suggest we,
Let's keep in touch next week, John, while you're working on it. And if you want, I'm happy to reach out to Eric Dove and see if we have kind of an expert on this at BHS. Then maybe you can help us out.
all right.
Okay, thank you. Good, Dick, you'll be in touch with Mike if there's anything you need to do from, maybe we need to move the address. Maybe it has to be I don't know why it would have to be a current board member, but maybe that's part of it too. If it's Mike Klein's address and he's no longer, hasn't been on the board for 8 years, 10 years, I guess.
Yeah, I think there's just two layers going on here. One's BHS and one's the state level.
Right.
And that's just the confusion piece. And then to have one district like ours have its corporation in one state and its mailing address in another further confuses it, because that's essentially where the tax documentation is coming from. It's not coming from a Massachusetts address.
So if John just moved to Massachusetts, we'll probably be all set.
Now, you take care of that, John?
I actually don't think that has much to do with it, because that's just a mailing address.
No, I get that, but when just full transparency, you all know I work for Apple, and Apple has a philanthropy program that they will match anything I donate, and all of my volunteer hours are $25 an hour. In order to qualify an organization, they have to go through a vetting process. So Vocal Revolution has been through that vetting process. And when I tried to put the district through it, it kicked back saying that the district had not filed 990s for 3 or 4 years. So it's probably to some degree untrue, I think, John, federally, but again, there's still some confusion there.
All right, well, let's see what happens in the next couple of weeks to figure it out.
I'm here to help.
Include Dick in anything you email about that while you're working on it, John.
So between John, Dick, and Mike, or
Okay.
Tom, Dick, and Harry. Okay. I had a very short agenda this month, being wrapping up my tenure. So I didn't have a lot on here. We pretty well hashed over the convention, and we knew that what John's report was likely to look like. So most of the regular business, although we'll go through as we normally do for each one of you. I want to thank all of you, obviously, for a great effort in these very trying times, history-making times, as we say, and hanging in there and doing the best we could. And so with that said, let's go through the list of officers. And Mike, anything else you need to bring up?
Just in terms of our get together on January 7th, if you are not able to be there in person, but you plan on connecting remotely, please let me know that. Or if you're not going to be able to person or be able to connect remotely, please let me know that as well. Just to give you an idea, the agenda in the morning is going to focus a lot on, I want to review our district mission, look at our values and culture, and then use that information to kind of plan out the rest of our strategy for the year, for the next 2 years. John will be putting together a lot of budget information on what we have typically spent our money on at the district. I want to spend time in the afternoon with each of the VPs, generating a budget based on that information. And then that kind of links back to that reimbursement thing that we can get away from having to have every expense reviewed if it's already a budgeted and planned expense. If you have any other topics that you think we should be including in the agenda, stuff that we should be talking about while we're together, please drop me an email, give me a call, and we're happy to fit those in.
And we do plan for a full, I put 10 to 4. I think that's what you told me last time, right?
Mhm.
From a budgetary standpoint, is there anyone that will be attending that needs overnight accommodations?
I may. Don't know at this time, but I just might.
Okay, so just Diane. Okay. All right. Ed, down to you.
I have nothing to add. I just want to thank everybody for, gosh, I don't know how many years that I've been on the board. It was great working with you all. And I really appreciate the opportunity to serve the district. And so this is my last official board meeting. And I just want to wish everybody well and all the best of luck in 2023. The Northeastern District is truly blessed to have as many hard workers on their board. And having seen a couple of other districts and how they operate, you don't know how lucky you guys are. So I think Mike might attest to that too, Mike Mano, because he's seen it. But a very, very strong board and lots of good things. So all the best of luck in 2023. And hope to see some of you at some sort of future event, whether it's midwinter or international, or even if you're on your way someplace and you happen to stop in Charlotte on a flight or something, give me a call. So that's all for me. Thanks, guys.
Next time
Ed.
I'll call you, Ed. Ed, thank you so much. You have definitely gone above and beyond all the things you've done, the monthly newsletters over the years, and the running of the convention from a distance. All of that stuff is way above and beyond. And I think John has already told me that the check is in the mail.
Oh, great.
So watch for it. Katie, anything else from you?
Nothing else from my end.
Okay. Alan.
The only thing I've got is, besides Ed, before he speaks, I want to make sure we all thank Dan Falcone for his service. I know this is his last meeting also, and we'll miss him and his good advice that's always there. As far as contest and judging, I'll just tell you that we have our panels for the 3 contests this spring all solidified. Mike, I don't know who's going to, hopefully not you, is going to be continuing to do the website, but I think we could post those at any time, start filling up information on the 3 contests.
Yeah, Mike Klein has taken on the website. He and Katie are in the process of transitioning that.
Perfect. I will, I'll send it to Mike and copy you. And Katie. Okay.
Excellent. Okay. Mr. Bradley.
Yeah, I just have one thing on the August Harmony College and the HX camp. Our contact up there, Mike, who we've had contact with there for years, will be no longer with the college as of the 1st of January. So we have to establish an entirely new contact. He's been great to us for a few years now. Also, the auditorium will be closed for the entire year of 2023. And they are making alternate uses of an auditorium, which would be in the gymnasium. Once the new crew gets in, probably about the first week of January, I can get more information to Amanda on what this is going to mean and how this is going to work. Right now, they're kind of up in the air, but they do know that the auditorium will be closed for the entire year of 2023. It's going to be completely renovated. So we're going to have to find some place for an auditorium, which they have advised the gym. I don't quite know how that worked, but I will find out more when the new crew comes in, whoever that may be.
So both Scott and Amanda, just keep that in the back of your mind to stay in touch with Mr. Bob. Okay, thank you, Bob. Yes, I was going to give Dan a big build-up, but Alan stole my thunder. So I think along with Ed, Dan, you have done above and beyond the call of duty, and district has been a much better place for you doing what you did. So thank you for all of your effort. And hopefully you're not going away. You're just not going to be in that position.
Yeah, we plan on roping him right into being a division manager, so he could be right back on the board calls in January.
Yes, thank you to Ed and Mike for making me feel so welcome and for supporting our programs. When I started this position, I had one vision of what it was going to be, but definitely COVID morphed it into some totally different animal, and I've enjoyed it. And my wife is glad I didn't have to travel as much as the original position was going to have it be. I definitely want to help whoever takes the position up again to think about some of those things. Another decision that might be made is whether we want the society to function as the main educator of our directors, or do we still want to have that, let's go to your own chapter and work hand in hand with you so that even your chapter can see like a DWI kind of thing. I think there are pluses and minuses to both, but thank you for all your support and your good work on behalf of our district. I'm glad I get to see how the sausage is made and not just attend the conventions and say, oh, this is interesting. Thank you.
Thanks again, Dan. Amanda, over to you.
Hello, I have nothing to add.
Okay. And Carolee's not on the call. Let's go to Diane.
Sadly, I haven't done a whole lot this month. Basically reached out into the Mountain Division regarding the Mountain Division Barbershopper of the Year trophy and see if we can't get that back into the works. Talked to them all about their annual shows, and I know some are having difficulty finding show chair, so I chatted about that. As far as Plattsburgh, we had a very successful annual show, which is great. Our holiday concert, which was for during the storm this weekend, sadly got postponed because nobody could make it out of their driveways or anywhere. But I plan to attend Saratoga's performance tomorrow night. So I'm still involved, but not reaching out to the degree I'd like, but I won't start till January.
Okay, thanks, Diane. Scott?
Yep, we did have a leadership conference Zoom, and started talk about some of the different ideas and approaches, and we'll be having a full meeting, which I think is going to be in person. I'm not positive, but that's going to be I think in it's either January, February time range. I think January. And that'd be that. So nothing too new to report yet.
Okay, thank you, Scott. Doug, anything from you as division manager?
Well, a few little things. We're having a desperate time in the Maritimes to get people back into the choruses. We have 2 choruses that are down to 5 and 6 people. And another one that has recycled a little bit, and they have 20 people coming back, but they don't feel that they're ready to be involved yet, but they will get there. Eventually they will. We can't find anybody that wants to be the hosts of the division contest this year. And we've come up with another, what turns out to be a really good plan, but I don't know whether it'll work or not. We're going to consider having it in Truro, and we don't have a chorus in Truro right now, but we have all the facilities we need to do it. And Truro is 40 miles from the airport. And that was the biggest problem last year, was the fact that it cost them $1,700 to get to St. John, New Brunswick from Newfoundland, for instance. And they can fly into Halifax for $368 or something like that. And why it's different like that, I don't know, but we're going to try to put that together. And then everybody else in the Maritimes is not very far away from Truro. It's a good drive for everybody. And if Newfoundland can get there, we're going to do it that way, I think. Aside from that, we're okay.
Sounds like a good plan, Doug, and I'm sure there's, you know, if you need help, you know, from maybe a few of us could take a ride up there and help out of that kind of thing. If you need manpower or whatever, you know, don't hesitate to yell.
Yeah.
Do you have dates? Do you have dates for that already, Doug?
I have that in mind.
Do you have dates solidified for that, Doug?
Yeah.
Dates.
Anyway, that's where
What date are you planning on, Doug?
we're kind of open on the date.
May 13. That's
May-
when our panel is scheduled.
That's what we picked out. And hopefully that's when it'll work the best.
Yeah, I don't think you have a lot of leeway if you want to have a contest. So you have to pay close attention to Alan if there's anything else that comes up. So May 13th is when the panel will be there.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
we're going to rely on Alan completely. He's going to be in charge.
He and Ed.
Yeah, I got a quick question for you, Doug. Do you pay your chapters to host the division contest?
I've talked to all of them so far. There aren't any others to talk to.
No, do you pay them?
Do you pay them?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
But there's I'm not going to get into the depth of it, but the Pappy's organization, which some of you are familiar with, has made over the years a fair chunk of money, and we're considering financing the contest or financing some phase of it this year, but we don't want to go through the whole thing because we do other things with that money. We give out every year at Dalhousie University, we give out money.
Could Pappy's host it?
Pardon?
Could Pappy's host the division contest? Do you have enough men, or you have members?
I'd have to know how much money we're talking about there, because we do have a limit on how much money we have available, and I don't want to see us spend all the money in one fell swoop and then not have an organization.
Oh, I'm okay. I'm probably talking out of line and don't understand all the finances involved. But the idea of hosting a contest is basically just to provide bodies to do the things that need to be done.
Yeah.
So you look at groups like chapters who have men who could do that, Sweet Adeline's chapters, or any other organization. So without any kind of cost or anything to Pappy's, I think you have enough men or enough people that are interested that could, do the manpower, do the legwork that needs to be done during a division contest. That's all.
Yeah, we're hoping that would work some way or another, but we haven't had. I still have to go to people in town and see if we can get the hotels for that. And we've had them here before when there was a chapter here, when there's no problem having them here. We have the space and all that sort of stuff, but I have to get it settled in whether they have them for that date and all that stuff.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Doug.
Okay, thank you.
Speaking of newsletters, something I always look forward to is Jim's, and always learn something, Jim. Thank you for doing that. And anything that you need to add?
Just Hartford had their annual show. It was a good success. Danbury, Bridgeport have been doing some holiday singing, and Manchester has its show coming up in January. That's about it.
Jim, your mailing list for that newsletter, does that go to all the board, all the here?
No, it goes to the other division managers and yourself, Mike, and Ed in the past. Yeah.
If possible, I think it's great. It's a great quick read. It's a one-page thing. I'm not talking about a document or something, but there's always good information on it. I would think that pretty much everybody on the board would love to have a shot at it. So if you can add those names, Mike, it sounds like a good idea to you for next year.
Sure.
Savard. I mean, doesn't hurt to have the information.
Agree.
It only hurts if Jim gets 14 or 15 comments back of how he could do it better.
I have thanked him, but I don't think I've given him any advice to change it. Although not an officer, but someone that's been listening tonight, Dick, anything that you want to question or add, or?
No, it's just a matter of coming out of COVID. It's just going to be hopefully enlightening in terms of what we've learned during that process, and coming back to the light of day. It's been a really dark period for a lot of people, and I think that if we can rally the troops and gather the spirit of what we experienced before COVID, I think we can regenerate the interest.
Hope springs eternal. Thank you, Dick. Okay, I think everybody's had a shot. Anybody have anything else? Was not in their particular area, but needs to ask or say anything?
Thank you for your leadership, Mike.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you all for everything you do.
It has to have been one of the toughest periods for having this role, probably in the history of barbershop.
Yeah, it's been interesting. I'm hoping that I hear the thud that Alan has promised me.
We'll make sure it happens, Mike.
Okay. All right. Hearing nothing else, look forward to seeing you all, except Ed and Dan. And perhaps, I don't know if Jim, you'll make it to the board meeting or not, or Doug, I would doubt it, but if I don't see you there, we hope to see everyone as much as possible, and you can zoom in. So Doug, if you want to be part of that, and zoom in,
Yes.
that would be great. So Mike, I wish you all the best. I am leaving for Florida tomorrow. No. It has been a very interesting time. It's a bittersweet time. A lot of people have asked me how I felt about it, and I said I'm very glad that I did it. Am I happy that it's over? Not necessarily, because I would have loved to have been in more normal times and had a shot, but we'll continue to do the best we can, and look forward to seeing you all in January. Once again, that'll be something I missed the most, was not being able to have personal contact with all of you and see the chapters and so forth. But have a wonderful holiday season, Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever, and Happy New Year. And January 7th is right around the corner. So with that, we'll take a motion to adjourn. And that comes from Alan, and a second by Diane. Oh, no, I'm sorry, Diane. I got to get Ed's name in one more time. And any discussion? Okay. Night, everyone. Thanks for a nice brief meeting, and look forward to seeing you in January.
Have a great holiday, everybody.
Right.
Bye.
Take care.
Go Patriots.
It was ugly.